ladies and gentlemen, I am Joe Tyman, and welcome to the first ever episode of Tyman On Tap. We have a lot of interesting stuff for you to discuss today, a lot of cool news to discuss, and we want you to be part of it. Call in at 203, hold on, let me look at the number, sorry, 203-265-6310, and we're here at WPA in Wallingford, Connecticut, Channel 18 for users who have Comcast. For all you enlightened folks that have left Comcast, you can either reach us at WPAA.tv or tell your friends if you're watching it and they're not, or on Uverse Channel 99, go down to Wallingford, go down to WPAA TV. Okay, well, first topic. Last weekend, The Avengers came out. It set all-time opening weekend, I guess it's not really a day, box office record. It had a total of $200 million, over $200 million. Let me pull up the exact numbers. So yes, it set a record. This is going to go into the second line of Avenger movies, including what's showing right now, Iron Man 3, a Thor 2, and the Captain America 2. Sad news for the people that enjoyed the character of the Hulk, while he signed on, I believe, either 4 or Mark Ruffalo signed on to do either 3 or 4 or 6 movies. He's only going to be a side character for the rest of them. So those of you who are a Hulk fan are not actually going to have another Hulk movie. It's very difficult, very expensive. So also with that, they launched a line of comic books with it called Avengers Assembled. It's like pretty well for a comic book that's tied into the movie. They plan to do a very large run of it. Issue 2 came out this week. I believe issue 1 came out a month ago. So Marvel is really trying to milk this Avengers thing for all it's worth. It also came out a week earlier over in England, which prompted some illegal copies to end up being distributed in America before the movie came out. So people in England got to see it a week before us, brought their iPads or whatnot into the movie theater, copied it, and translated it over to America. For those of you who saw it, there is an extra scene at the end of the movie where they all eat shawarma. The interesting thing about this extra scene was that after the premiere in Hollywood a couple weeks ago, Robert Downey Jr. is like, well, we got to go film another scene. Most people at the launch thought at the opening day, thought Robert Downey Jr. was basically drunk and kind of playing around with the people at the premiere. But as it turns out, they actually did film another scene. Him and the rest of the main cast, some of them in costume, some of them like Robert Downey Jr.'s character, and I am black. And I am not black. Now I'm kind of gray. That was weird. You usually don't change both the colors when you're... Well, maybe since it's the Hulk theme, it's going to change into the gray Hulk and be a really suave type of guy. I don't know what's going on in back. I apologize for that. So Marvel has had a lot of success with this Marvel Studios. For those of you that don't know, Marvel launched the studios with Avi Arad in the early part of the middle part of the last decade to start producing more and more Marvel movies. The idea was originally for the studios to be bought by Fox, and Fox is going to produce more movies that they produced. X-Men and all the cartoons in the 90s, where Valdo Saban, who was closely worked with Fox. So there was really hope that studio would have been able to do it. And there's the call number. Please call in at any time. So they created the studio to make movies, and as it turned out, it's been very, very successful. Not only have the movies been very profitable, they've actually been very high quality. So as a comic book fan, while movies like the new Spider-Man look absolutely horrible and I recommend people just not to see it. Movies like The Avengers and the rest of the Avengers team have, if they could quiet down back there, they're kind of loud. The Avengers teams, all those movies have been very good movies. After the Hulk movie, which was made by Ang Lee, which was basically a angry man, they made the sequel, unofficial sequel / reboot of them, and it's all been really, really successful. A lot of it's been doing with great casting. I don't think anybody would complain about Mark Ruffalo being the third different Hulk. I think everybody loves Robert Downey Jr. One sad thing about Iron Man 3 is that Mark Favreau decided not to film Iron Man 3, to actually film Magic Kingdom, a movie based on the Disney ride. I really wish the studio would quiet it down a little bit. Quiet it down, folks. So it's really exciting that they are continuing to have success, because in 1988, the comic book movie industry was almost killed by a movie called Batman and Robin. Without getting into too much details, Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher basically made a movie designed to sell different toys for DC. And while they were very profitable, it killed the industry, almost killed the industry, delayed movies like X-Men from being finally produced and released, and made movies like made them take less chances, less risk on movies, doing things like a really, if you see the first Spider-Man, it's a really open to everybody. It's a really enjoyable movie. It's not too risky. It's a pretty mainstream movie. They've had success with other live-action Spider-Man shows. They've had a lot of success with Spider-Man memorabilia, toys, all that stuff. Spider-Man is very beloved. So people really, really like that. So it's really amazing to go from where they were to where they're now, and it's not stopping. DC, which is releasing another big movie this summer, Dark Knight Rises, featuring Batman and the return of the Dark Knight and the fall of the Dark Knight, and has Catwoman and Bane. So if you're a fan of early 90s Batman's comics, or mid-90s Batman's comics, you should love this movie. It's really something to look forward to. But what's supposed to start now after this last movie, will be his last movie, is start the Avengers story, or the Justice League of America storyline. It's going to be really interesting seeing what they did with the Avengers and seeing if DC can try to parlay that. DC has not really been good about creating one continuity with everything in it. They've actually had issues where if Batman is in a movie, he can't be in any other one of their lines or any of their things. So going forward, it's going to be interesting to see the success of Avengers, how it makes DC push. People who've gone to the comic book store in the past couple months, past like 9 months to a year, they see that DC has been forced to reboot their line. They've even changed their logo. They rebooted the longest running continuous comic book in the history of comic books in Detective Comics. It was 800 and something. It restarted, went back to Detective Comics 1. DC has been known to be like, well, this is the continuity you used to. It's all gone. So DC has had issues in the past trying to make everything work together. So it's going to be very interesting with these different movies that they've been making to really get them working together. It's going to be, I think it's like they're shooting for something like 2016 Justice League movie. They're doing a new Superman movie which is coming out in either the end of this year or in the summer next year. Interestingly enough, it is being produced by the same people who produced Batman. So if they're trying to build this big continuity, I think we might see the first start of it now. The problem traditionally has been that Superman movies have been very happy and very bright, where Batman movies are typically, especially with Christopher Nolan, dark and brooding. It should be very interesting to see how this Superman movie comes out and how they start tying these characters together. They're going to do this big, massive movie with all your favorite DC characters. All right, so wrapping up on that, if you guys haven't seen Avengers, go out and see it. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It's still in theaters. It's going to be in theaters for probably a while. I recommend you can probably avoid the 3D. Stick with seeing the 2D theater. Support your local theaters. Find an independent theater to go to see it, and just enjoy it. I mean, those of you who are traditionalists will find some fault in it because they lacked Ant-Man and the Wasp, who were some of the original Avengers. Captain America was not an original Avenger. He came on in issue 4, I believe. The original members were Hulk, Iron Man, Wasp, and Ant-Man. Then Captain America. Then at a later date, Hawkeye. And at a much later date, I think in the 70s, was Black Widow. They are all in the movie now. So if you're a completely purist Marvel person, you might be a little annoyed at the lack of Ant-Man and Wasp, the ability to shrink down real small would tactically be really good for those guys, especially when they have a guy who comes really big and green and smashes and breaks things and is not the most subtle person ever. Moving topics, Star Wars, The Old Republic. If you haven't heard the news or paid attention to any of the earnings, Electronic Arts, either the biggest or second biggest video game publisher in the world, announced that Star Wars lost about 400,000 subscribers, in the past quarter. Star Wars had a record high launch. A lot of people buying it. They shot up farther and faster than probably most people expected. They also fell victim to their own hype because people were very excited about this. People love the old games, love Star Wars. What happened is there was a lot of casual people who bought the game, played the game, and did not subscribe for more than 30 days. It still has 1.3 million user base, and if you look at it and you break the numbers down, compared to games that have its age and newer games that have came out, it actually is pretty solid. The shocking number is the 400,000 people that they did lose. What EA is trying to spin this is like not a big deal, and if you really look at it, it probably isn't a big deal. They still have more subscribers than they thought they were going to have. They're still on path to break even and recoup their development costs. They're still planning to release expansions. The only thing different is that they've now decided to move staff around so they can get development out there faster. The current staff size that are working on the next expansion is about the same size team as that developed Mass Effect and Dragon Age. So it's a very, very big team working on the expansion. Also, in the meantime, they're trying to get a couple patches out. If you've seen either the first two patches, why some people would like to come out faster. They deliver a lot of content. They do have the legacy system. The game has been, it's hard to not consider it a success, even with the loss of 400,000 people. The numbers are still really high. It's still that shot up really fast compared to other MMOs. What they have to do is keep going forward. It's going to get more and more competition with Guild Wars 2 and Diablo 3, which really isn't in the same category. But if you look at the numbers, it's at first shocking to see 400,000 people lost. Because if it was I did a little research, and that's more than some MMOs have subscribers that they actually lost in one day, in one quarter, in 3 months span of time, which is about 2/3 to half the user base right now of a game called Rift, which is roughly 5% of the people playing WoW, or people who have subscribed to WoW. So it's a very large number. It's the biggest problem with Star Wars. If you haven't played it, play it the next free weekend. You'll get wrapped up in your character. You'll really love your character. you'll be sad when you get to the final point of your character. You're going to want to make another character. You're going to keep wanting to play it and just really get connected and entwine with your characters that you've made. It really, as a story, everybody has said good things about it, has said that it's really the story mode has really drawn them into their characters. The problem is that the end game, people, let's be honest, people who play MMOs, who are the most vocal, are the people who want to are competitive and want to be able to have a term called pwn noobs. So if you're looking for a game where you just shoot up and start killing people, it's probably the game. The PvP needs some work. It's had early PvP issues. But overall, I think that going forward, it's just going to be the key to making Star Wars a success is if they have a really large and wonderful world that you can keep doing and keep falling in love with your character. People are going to pay $15 a month. If this was as big of an issue as they were talking about, you'd see people just dropping off in droves. And while that is big, talk about like Icarus flew so high he melted and fell back down to Earth, and that's a lot of the issues Star Wars is having. It's become a victim of its own success, a victim of its own hype, and this is a lot of people. This is going to be interesting going forward. A lot of people think in the industry that paying to play monthly is a going away service. People would want to pay one fee and to continue to pay the game. People want to play pay for microtransaction and keep playing the game. It's going to be interesting if they go make that model, because a lot of games who have been a lot less successful, Conan, Lord of the Rings, Dungeons & Dragons Online, all have gone to this free-to-play model and have been able to support their game and make it profitable. Game All Points Bulletin, which was kind of a failure, didn't have a traditional monthly fee. You paid for what you were playing, like as you went on, and it actually was making on average $70 a month per user. However, they didn't really have that large of a user base, so that money was really kind of meaningless. So it's going to be interesting going forward. It's going to be interesting going forward with the model of MMOs. What's happening interesting is Guild Wars. If anybody's played that game, it's basically an MMO that you just buy the game and you play it and you come back and you play it and you come back. And the world exists and you keep playing for free and you pay that one fee to play the game. And you can access it as many times as you want. So this is a traditional pay-to-play model, or free-to-play model, where you spend money on your armor, you spend money on this quarter of the map, you spend money on that. They had expansions, you bought expansions, and you had games, you bought games. So it's actually an older model, and they've had some success. So if this is successful, which since it's unique enough, it might be successful. Guild Wars was successful at one time. It was very popular at one time. It did kind of fracture when they released 3 standalone expansions, but it was popular enough in its own time. So it's going to be interesting now that people are tired of World of Warcraft and looking for their next thing to do. People just don't want to play World of Warcraft anymore. People don't know why they're playing, and it's a huge problem. And Blizzard's answer is, we're going to make an expansion pack every year. Here's the one we're having this year. Here's the ones we're having for the next 2 years. And maybe people will be like, okay, there's something in here I want to play. We'll make a race of Ninja Pandas, and we'll see who wants to play that. And so they keep going forward with this, and people are just tired of giving Blizzard money and really playing the game that they expected they were originally playing. And I think that's really their issue with this game. So it's going to be really interesting going forward with all this competition, more competition now than there was before. Maybe at the launch of World of Warcraft, there were some really great games that, because of World of Warcraft, changed their model, changed what they were doing, and became bad games. So it's going to be interesting going forward. All these other games are coming out now, and to see what people are going to do when they have the option to spend their money on. And it's just very, very interesting model. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years now. There's just more competition than ever, and it's going to be just interesting to see what happens with these companies. All right, so it's 8:20. We're going to take a small break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Instagram and their merger with Facebook and why it's not going so good right now for them. Okay, and we are going to... Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk Tech. I'm your host for this next 40 minutes on this mystical, magical ride that we are taking through this minefield of nerdy news and video game excitement. I am very parched right now. A lot of talking. So please, make me talk less. Call in at 203-625-6310. The number's right above me, right here. Call in now. Have fun. So right now we're going to talk about Facebook and Instagram. As everybody knows, Facebook is going to launch public. It's going to be an IPO. They've trying to make the company more valuable by buying certain products, certain things. They bought a bunch of patents from Microsoft that were originally owned by either AOL or Yahoo, something from the early ages of the modern internet that we have today. They made a big money offer to Instagram, which is what's giving them trouble now. The problem with Instagram now is that it's now the merger or the acquisition of buying it is now delayed by the Federal Trade Commission. What the issue has become is that they are now Instagram made an app for the iPhone, and it took your pictures and made it silly warm filter they put on all their photos. And what they did is that they basically made a company out of nothing and made $1 billion. And now they're in this process of this huge, huge merger while Facebook is trying to become an IPO and publicly traded. And the problem is that while it's becoming publicly traded, they decided to do something drastic and say we're going to merge with the company. And the problem with that is now that there's any business and acquisition merger, there is a lot of government bureaucracy, red tape involved. So what is now happening is that Facebook, hold on, let me just pull, let's lost my show notes. Give me 1 second. Facebook is now facing antitrust legislation in terms of their merger. It's probably something that's going to go through. It begins to start questioning Facebook's timing on the merger with the acquisition of Instagram. Is there really $1 billion of the value of that company? A lot of people don't think so. Another Facebook problem has that they release their earnings, or they begin to show their financials, and they're not making nearly as much money as people thought they were making. So that potentially could hurt their initial IPO and hurt the value of the company, the value of the stock. They've also spent a lot of money, like I mentioned before, on buying patents that have no actual value for a shareholder. They're not going to make money off these patents. While it's great they have it in their repertoire and now have this value and actually are a real company, not this social networking. As an investor, you got to wonder if they're being this foolish now when they're trying to invest in their company, what are they going to do next? It makes a lot of sense for Facebook to start adding more features and start adding more things. You know, all these internet companies, all these companies, like even Microsoft bought Skype so they could have all these cool features, all these popular things. So, you know, Facebook, which has a lot of influence from Microsoft, has really taken this approach where let's get these cool features and cool products and let's control them and let's make them part of our service. Google's done the same thing. They've bought a lot of companies. So it's something you see a lot in technology these days is this acquisitions and everything that you like, just keep buying stuff and building these companies. And it's really the only industry in the world where you build a company, you start it up, you spend less than 100 grand, you get it off the ground, you wait, and your goal is just get bought out. And then you move on and you do your next startup. And, you don't see other American companies doing that. You don't see some guy opening a plumbing shop down the road to just sell it out to a larger plumbing shop 2 years from now. It's a very unique thing. You don't see people building value, inserting value to their company just to be bought out and then do it again and again and again. But it's a really unique and quirky thing, and these people who, if you look at some of these people, I mean, they've been involved in 10 startups. It's really unique to the software industry, technology industry. It's also created a lot of lack of loyalty for these companies. If you go, the problem is with what Mark Zuckerberg once said, he wished he never moved out of Boston, because in San Francisco, you hire some guy, you bring him in for big money, and then 6 months later, his friends starting these new companies and leave, going there, and you get these people that just constantly keep moving around and constantly try to find a new fun thing to do. So the stable workforce is not there that they need in San Francisco. So Facebook right now is in a very interesting time. While this should be the best time, and Mark Zuckerberg will be rich and his family will be rich and he'll be like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, it's really became a difficult time to be Facebook with a lot of scrutiny they're under because of their recent actions and their future actions of hopefully their goal is this month was to be publicly traded. And they have a few more weeks to do this, but they may run out of time this month to be publicly traded, and they might have to push it back to June. It was kind of like a running joke, when was Facebook going to become publicly traded? And this is another thing in the line of Facebook events that have happened to on their IPO. And it also, people have to start questioning, if you're an investor, where is Facebook making its money from? Ads, obviously. But how much, they may have a lot of revenue, but what's their profit? How much profit are they generating? And while making this huge amount of money, huge amount of revenue, and getting a huge amount of advertising dollars, and being this really great success story, there really is this issue of how much profit is in Facebook? What is the intrinsic value? What is the value of this company? And it's really just gone into question. And obviously, they have $1 billion lying around to make this huge acquisition of this small company, and get all these cool features that it offers, and this little whole startup, the startup that Facebook was, 4 years ago. So, actually about 6 years ago now. Time is flying by. So that is the major issue that people are having with Facebook. It's going to be interesting as the Facebook turns to see what actually happens. All right, so moving on from Facebook. If you've been living underneath a rock for the past 10 years, you probably haven't heard of Diablo. Diablo 1 was a great game. You just went through that one dungeon and keep going and going and going. I've never beat the last level in Diablo. There's no one. You just get stuck. You go to that last level and just get people coming at you, and you just keep fighting and digging through. I have not got through that last level. And then there's their huge hit, Diablo 2, which people still play online now. It's still a great game. It's still just fun to play. And they said, we're gonna do a sequel to this. And they announced a sequel in 2008, actually. And it's now 2012, and the game comes out next week. I pre-ordered mine from Amazon. It'll be at my doorstep on Tuesday. In the middle of me studying for midterm exams. So now that game's, everybody's waited. It's a huge hype game. They had a beta weekend a couple weeks ago, and the cool thing that they're doing now is anybody that played in the beta test now gets a free banner. You get a banner called Chosen Feet of one of the chosen feet of strength. So you get a banner that you now get that you can put on and use and show off, and let people know that you are one of the few people that play through their buggy server testing time. And anybody that's played the demo or the beta this weekend has really, from what I heard from the past few weekends, I've really enjoyed it. People really enjoyed it. There was a lot of bugs that I noticed, a lot of hard time getting into games, a lot of interesting problems people had setting up accounts and creating characters. But you had a really fun, enjoyable game. You know, they have designed this game so even in real life you can make money by selling your equipment for cash, and then take a little bit of the transaction. And is somebody calling in right now? I just got a text. Someone said I'm calling. Hold on a minute. I mean, it's your phone issues right now. Hello?
Hello?
Is this Andrew?
Joe!
Okay, something's going on with the phone. All right. So, does anybody know what's going on with the phone? Riyadh? Hold on one second.
Joe, are you there?
Hello?
Joe!
Is this Andrew?
Yeah, it's Andrew. What's up? How you doing, buddy?
Andrew Smith is calling in.
Thanks for giving my name. What's going on, Joe? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Good. What's on tap next?
Well, right now we're talking about the big game coming out next week, and Diablo 3. Do you have any opinions? Were you a Diablo 2 kid, or did you not really play that game when you were younger?
Oh man, I love Diablo, and I played a little Diablo 2, but I don't know if I'm really psyched for this. I feel like my video game adventure world has expanded past the point and click kind of thing, and I don't know how excited I am about it. But I mean, it looks cool. The commercials look awesome, and like the YouTube videos look sweet. But I don't know. I don't know. What about you, Joe? Are you gonna play this, Joe?
I pre-ordered it. It's coming in on Tuesday, I believe.
Oh, so you're excited, obviously.
I'm excited.
Yeah, pre-order. I mean, now, Joe, is this going to affect your Star Wars playing?
I don't know. It's a very different game. You know, a lot of people are saying, a lot of people act like it is an MMO, but it really isn't, because the world goes away. You just basically create dungeons each time you play. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
yeah, I got you. You got a good point there, but I'm just saying you personally. I'm not talking about game-wise, but like, is this going to eat into that hour that you would have played Star Wars? Are you playing Diablo 3, or are you just going to say, no, I'm 50-50 in this mother, and then have 30 minutes devoted to Diablo and 30 minutes devoted to Star Wars?
Oh, I've been a bad Star Wars player. I haven't been putting as much hours as I've been wanting to into the game. But I play the single player, get to the single player, and just dabble with my friends. I don't think Diablo is going to be a game I really go on and play with strangers. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to people I want to play with. I want to play with. I don't need this strange world of these people. It's really set up for gold farming. When the fact that you could sell your equipment for real cash, and there's nothing stopping you. You just go and do this, and you'll get your check, and we'll take our money. The fact that they actually sanction this is really interesting, because I feel like it's just going to be full of gold farmers. It's
Andrew Schmidt rules the world.
I guess.
Hey, who is that?
That was the producer.
Hey man, producers are what make the world go round.
They do.
They do. So Joe, what else is next on tap?
Well, I don't know if you heard. I was talking about the Instagram, Facebook thing. What do you think about the FTC doing antitrust probe in it right now?
I don't see where they're going to. Unfortunately, I think not unfortunately. I don't see them having any future with this battle, just because. Ultimately, the Instagram and Facebook will just make the claim that, listen, there's thousands of apps that are like this. There are thousands of people out there trying to write apps like this. There's Photoshop, as far as making it look old-timey. So I don't think nothing really is going to happen with this one.
Do you think that it's a billion-dollar company, Instagram?
No, of course not. Listen, it's great in the sense that you can share things. It really is, and the people who use it, I will say this: the people who use it are very, very adamant about it and love it. But I just don't see $1 billion is a lot of money. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look at that whole scene in The Social Network, which I finally saw, Joe. The scene where the guy goes, Justin Timberlake's character is like, "Yo, I'm thinking about $1 billion." Dude, Facebook's worth billions of dollars. It makes sense that it's worth billions of dollars, but not Instagram. I mean, would I pay $250 million for it? No, probably not. $100 million? No, probably. I'd pay $64 million, Joe.
For Facebook?
No, for Instagram.
Instagram, $64 million.
Yeah, that's as high as I'll go, Joe. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. It's like you could start. It's going to tell everybody start a tech startup for $10,000, and you have a shot at making $1 billion. It's like okay, I'm going to do this. In worst case scenario, I make a couple $1 million.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could just be bought off by any random VC or any Twitter or believe it or not, Joe, Yahoo still buys little companies with ideas. And I mean, if Yahoo can do it, somebody else can do it. And if Yahoo can do it for X, somebody else can probably do it for 10 times X. And that's awesome. We want money. People who sit around designing apps, they don't do it to be cute.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting. It's, in the latter part of last decade, towards the fading days of the Clinton administration, there was this thing where you just start any website, sell it, and you're rich.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where we're going to?
No, for an app, no. I don't think, no, because I think ultimately there are good apps out there that people will download, so they're not going to just go to, they're not, in those days you just described, the post-Clinton years of selling a website instantly, people would go to something just because it was, dogs.com or pets.com or MVP.com, which is my favorite failed.com website for sure.
What did they do on MVP.com?
MVP was sports equipment, but it was but the three people they had signed up were it was Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and another really good, I can't remember what, I think it was baseball, it could be football. I can't remember.
Bo Jackson? Was it a remake of their old cartoon show?
No, I don't know. It wasn't Bo Jackson, but it was just some other dude. And their commercial, Joe, was so obnoxious. It was just it was monotone, right? It was like a black and a gray, and it was all these great famous, these three famous guys, and they're playing just one-on-one with themselves. They're not even playing anyone. They're just playing themselves because there's just nobody who could just even dare to compete with them. And that's why you should go to MVP.com so you could buy sports things. I was like, what, who? I mean, I understand a sock puppet of a dog talking to me about pets.com. I understand that. I get that. You're a pet on a sock, and you're talking to me, and you're telling me, if you have pets, you should go to this website, you should buy something. But just because, Wayne Gretzky can shoot the puck, or Michael Jordan in just this really weird time-lapsey format with this weird music, that's not going to motivate me to go oh, yeah, that's right, I do need a new, lacrosse stick. So I don't know. That was the worst. But the point is, Joe, you could get people to go to that website very easy, and that just generates instant cred. With an app, I mean, just because you write an app tomorrow does not mean it will be downloaded the next day. That's my point. Apps are going to have to really prove themselves, not only with a catchy name, not only with a good interface, not only with a good product that they're actually selling, but then it needs to have fans and people who are excited, and to pass it on. Look at Draw Something. If you want to talk about apps, Zynga buys OMG Pop, and the day they buy it, it was the peak of Draw Something, OMG Pop's #1 game. That was the peak usership. It was at 15 million. Now, a month later, it's at 10 million daily users. So, I mean, and they bought that company for 100 million. So, I mean, that could just be the idea of just, no, we can't do this. We have to, we have to make sure this thing can make money first before we're going to spend millions upon millions of dollars.
It's interesting. It's just, we're in a really interesting time period right now where we're having it looks like a really big tech bubble is inflating now. It's really, this part of the economy compared to anything else is it's completely separate. It's not, this part of the economy is not worrying about Europe. They're not worrying about the socialists in Greece. They're going to keep making money, and people are going to keep buying their stock. Like there's a reason Apple is worth $600 million, and GM is worth whatever they're worth right now. You know, it's just there's this complete disconnect to what's going on in this one sector of our economy to what's going on to the rest of the whole entire world.
And Joe, you couldn't have said it any better. The only thing is, I think Apple, though, it does get a pass as far as price and earnings-wise, because it is not only just a technology company, it's a hardware company, and it also is a luxury company. You know, in the same way, like, listen, you know, that little thing in the back of your iPad or your iPhone, it means something to people, so people are going to go there for the same reason that they go to Prada and get like a Prada shoe or a Gucci shoe with that logo. So that's a little different. But Joe, you're absolutely correct. I mean, a website like LinkedIn is worth, some people say it's worth $15 billion, you know, like in actuality, or $4 billion, or I mean, LinkedIn is cool. Don't get me wrong, but why would it possibly be worth that much money?
It really is amazing. It's just, you're almost wondering where these people are getting, these venture capitalists are getting this money to like fund these things, because you know the traditional.
Because they had money from the buying.com names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, remember Red Hat Linux opened and it like went to like $200 or $300 a share the first day. You ask any of those people who bought and sold that stock and you know, and developed the IPO, you ask them right now if A, hey, do you know if Red Hat Linux is A, still around, or B, do you know what Red Hat Linux is? And half those people will be like, no. We don't, but we put in $1 and we took out $200,000.
Well, do you remember specifically VA Systems? They were
VA Linux.
Yes.
That was like they had to shut the market down or something ridiculous.
It went from $23 to $200 something, like $250, $260 in one day.
And no one I mean, it's like, yeah, you talk about Red Hat. That's something that is still around. I mean, VA Linux was such a flash in the pan. That computer company that I told you about at our you know, whatever, with the laptops, Transmeta. They made, you know, chips for laptops that would use less power. That thing, you know, started at like 30, and then it went, I don't know, it finished like 60 or 70, and that company's not even around. They never made a dent in anyone's life, consumer-wise, and yet, you know, all this money has been waged up and down, up and down, up and down. So, it's intense.
Yeah, it's just we're in interesting waters. It very much feels like history is kind of repeating itself right now.
It's different in some ways. It's a little more stringent, but the money is bigger. Like, you know, that's where you're right. The money is it's been multiplied. It's kind of like if you look at the, you know, Major League Baseball contracts in 2005 versus 1985. It's like, hey, you know, it's similar in the sense that, you know, they're playing players and they're paying them a lot of money, but now they're making $20 million a year as opposed to, you know, $2 million.
Yes, that is very interesting.
What else, Joe? I mean, I won't gobble any more time, but how are you enjoying your? First of all, before we go any further, congratulations on your own show.
Thank you.
I would like to say to the fine people of Waterbury, Wallingford, who I am not a fine citizen of, to vote and keep this man on the air.
Nobody's voting against me, though. That's
I'm not a race. Wait, isn't that how public access works, though? Like, people watch from the town, they vote what they like the best, and then that gets to move on?
It's not American Idol.
Ah, damn. I mean, that's a show right there. That's a movie right there. All right, and then is this going to be a concurrent thing? I mean, a concurring thing? Are we going to have this every Thursday?
Every Thursday. We're going to have, hopefully, a little different setup next week. I'm trying to bring a co-host, so it's not just this Joe talking.
No. I refused. I don't want to watch that show, Joe. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to. People in Wallingford, don't watch that show. Watch the show that you're watching right now. This is Joseph Tyman's gift to you, okay? Just love it, all right? Love this. Embrace it and soak it in. Don't let Joe, in all his craziness, convince you, himself, or anyone else that he should get a co-host.
Sure.
Yeah. Joe, I like this format.
It's like Joe talking by himself for an hour, then Andrew calls in for 10 minutes.
That's
It's like overnight radio on WFAN. You just call in and just talk until the commercial break comes.
It's just like, yeah, we got to do it up to 20. Can you wait through the commercials? Yeah, 1 second. No, Joe, I mean, all right, well, I think what it should be is that you should prep. I know this will be hard, but you have Sundays. You should prep video that you should play and cut to beats. So, like, you open the show, hi, I'm yours, Tyman, welcome to Tyman On Tap, and you have that, right? And that's cool. But then you say, and now I'm going to talk about something for a few seconds, boom, then you bring out a video, like 3 minutes, Joe, 5 minutes, whatever. Then, bam, back to you now with the host. Hey, this is my special co-host for the next 20 minutes or 10 minutes. And then, thank you very much. Bam, to another video, and then bam, back to you, and then you're just talking about something else, bam, to a video, and then you just say, hey, listen, this is me live again, I'm out of here.
Andrew, the next and the closing credits next week, you are associate producer.
Yeah, I'll take it because like I think that's what you need to do. And I think, Joe, you just get like a little $100 flip cam, or you got a special iPhone that could do HD video, and you just set it up at home, and you just say like, you know, what you could do your Andy Rooney bit at home. I don't know what you could do. You could go find like a rock at a beach, sit on it, and put this camera above you, and just be like, sometimes I think about what it is to be air. You know, you can do whatever you want. I want that, Joe. I want something. You're right. Break it up. Why don't you have a restaurant review in the middle of it? Seriously. Just be like, hey, boom, and then, you know, just you, and then, like, that's a restaurant.
Wait,
and it could be,
hey, boom, where's Boomer Esiason coming into this?
Hold on a second. And then you could turn around and you're like, hey, I'm pointing to a restaurant that I just went to and it's really good. Or Joe, go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, open the Big Mac, and look to see, like, every day what Big Mac is the one that looks like the picture the best. Like,
are you driving around the state doing this?
Yeah, Joe, we have like oh my God, Joe, I'll do that with you. Joe, please, let's do this. Joe, honestly, hit up every McDonald's in the state of Connecticut, and we're going to discover which one has the best Big Mac.
All right, we'll do this. We'll do this next weekend, Andrew. You and me. We're in an open road.
We eat so many Big Macs, Joe.
It'll be gross. We'll be puking by the end of it.
Could you just imagine you and me just sitting around just like, oh my God, why did we eat all those Big Macs? Could you just imagine that? Could you imagine the two of us just doing that? Just living that life? That being our life? That's being the reality that we exist in?
That'd be pretty wild.
Joe, please tell me you're taping this. Are you taping this, Joe?
Oh, you're going to be on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, awesome. See, that's what it's all about. It's all about the YouTube. Hey, I would pay at least $17 for YouTube right now to own YouTube. Oh, wait. That's a joke.
You know what's funny? When YouTube got, this is another thing, like, when YouTube got bought by Google, they've done a lot to make it profitable, but they were losing so much money at the time because they had no ads, they had nothing like it is now. It was just put your videos up and stream it. And their legal department alone was going to bankrupt them. And people like John C. Dvorak, people that are big names in this industry, were like, you guys are going to run out of money. Like, they're just going to go bankrupt. But they're getting all this money from Google. What's Google doing? And it was pretty successful since then, since they figured out how to monetize it. But
because at the end of the day, it's YouTube. You know, it's not like, oh, hey, I know I got this great website where you can watch movies. Oh, well, what it's called? Okay, well, it's www.gfservicevideo.com, and then you go /module/en/ you know what I mean? It's YouTube. It's genius. It's like, it's such a good name. It's a perfect name. It just sums up everything about it. It's like,
well, Andrew, we have to go to our next segment. So.
Oh, good. You're jumping to a next segment. I welcome it being on YouTube. If I get on there, you know, email me the link, and I'll talk to you later. Joe, congratulations, Wallingford. You got yourself a champion. Vote now. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye.
Always a pleasure. All right, that was Andrew Spit, everybody. Give him a round of applause. We're going to take a PSA. We're 10 minutes late, so we're going to go to PSA. We come back and do a quick comic book review, and we're going to watch two guys play video games, and hopefully one of them will win. All right. So as you can see, there are people playing video games right now.
In your face!
I think you just won.
Woo! All right.
All right, so don't think he has a microphone. I'm going to have to move the... I can't move this over. So you're our reigning champion for the week.
Yes.
So I guess you're gonna come back next week to play the newest challenger to you.
Yes.
Next week we're gonna play some Street Fighter. On the Wii, we're gonna play the port of Street Fighter 2. Anybody that wants to challenge, send me a text message, and one lucky person will get to
Do it.
play.
Do it.
Hopefully next week we'll fix the phone system that I didn't hear ring, even though someone was calling.
There you go.
There you go. I guess we just fixed it.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank Jared for.
Yeah, Jared.
All right. So for the last 5 minutes, we're gonna discuss.
Out of here.
Go back to camera 2. All right. So for the last segment, we're gonna talk about a little bit about some comic books that came out this week that struck my interest. First comic book that came out was the new Batman, Batman number 9, part of the new DC. I'm not really huge fan of Batman these days and DC these days, but I was very, very pleased with this. There's the cover. It came out on Wednesday, and it does pretty. It's the first of the Night of the Owls. It deals a lot with the Batman's backstory. It's pretty dark and brooding. It's interesting. I'll let you go out and read it, but it just gives my approval. If you like Batman's history, if you like dark and broodiness, and you like cool action fighting and everything that makes Batman feel like Batman, it's really, really cool, and it's really starting something I'm really looking forward to see where it plays out to. Also, number 2 was X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men. It is a tie-in to there's a cover, Cyclops. I believe that's the alternate cover, the AR cover, tied into Cyclops. As everybody knows, there's X-Men split up to 2 different groups, and this is one led by Wolverine. It gives you a lot of backstory. There's only 3 pages of fighting. It connects this issue that the X-Men and the Wolverine's led X-Men having with the Avengers. It's really interesting. There's a lot of these X-Men that are both in the Avengers and in the X-Men, and they're trying to figure out who they belong to, and it's playing out through Wolverine and the X-Men. Wolverine is an Avenger. The Beast is an Avenger, has been an Avenger at times, so it's really playing out through this storyline of the interpersonal battles that these people are having with each other. Number 2 was X-Men Legacy. And X-Men Legacy is, don't buy this book. It is bad. It's this Rogue being upset, and here's the cover. It's the tie-in to X-Men, to A vs. X. It's just basically a Rogue-based comic. A lot of fighting, a lot of fast-paced stuff. Just not enough substance to really be worth your time reading. Let me try to put my notes up here. My notes do not want to work right now. The third X-Men title, the final X-Men title I want to talk about is Wolverine. This is interesting. This is part of a storyline with Wolverine. Get a little more specific if I can just finally pull my notes up. I can't pull my notes up, but basically it's dealing with some crazy Wolverine stuff. I really need my notes on this one. And the final one is Scarlet Spider. I recommend Wolverine. Go out and check it out. If you find it, go to your local comic book shop. And the last one is Scarlet Spider. It is the return of Ben Reilly. It's this dealing with a lot of craziness that is some of the Clone Saga and what it is to be a superhero and what it is to be the Scarlet Spider and not necessarily Spider-Man. I think it's another good book you should check out. So in order, I would check out first the new Batman title, the new X-Men and Wolverine and X-Men, and then Wolverine in that order. If you still have a couple bucks you want to spend, go pick up the Wolverine or go pick up the Scarlet Spider title, and keep your $4 and don't worry about getting the X-Men Legacy. Unless I'll give you one caveat. If you want to collect every single line ever of the A vs. X, go out and get it. But other than that, don't. And so, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and making this first week a success. I want to thank Andrew for calling in all the way from Bridgeport. I mean, it's a while, but we're reaching. We're worldwide. WPAA.tv.com. Check us out. Website coming up. We'll have show notes. Let's play on YouTube. If you follow me on YouTube, I will put a Twitter handle. So yeah, thank you, and check in next week. We have some more interesting stuff. We'll get into Max Payne and all the new crazy stuff that's going to happen in the past week. So I will see you guys in a week.